I'm Jonny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith and Sniff, in which two friends talk about cars and also DJ Khaled and lost passports. Nice big sniff now that I've pressed record. It's always the wrong way to do it, isn't it? Have you noticed that?
Was it last week or the week before when I was going through it? Both of us had a bit of a claggy throat, I think. There was more coughing than normal that I tried to just clip out where I could because it spikes the levels something rotten. And I hadn't even noticed that I was doing it, and it was like there was a bit. Yeah. I did have a bit actually where I was talking and I started going, yeah, so anyway, you just get full clag on. Your throat bogs down.
Did you have an anti-clag turbo? Or was
no, I did. Suffering from turbo clag.
Is it like X more sheep who have a very claggy, woolly arsehole? And it's the anti-clag back door that they're constantly striving for.
Have we talked before? I think I might have said that it always baffles me that dogs still exist because they're so thick sometimes that you just think, in nature, how has the dog survived this long? Constantly eating its own shit and stuff. It's like there's a species that looks like it's sealed so fate. And here are us, kindly humans, stepping in and go, look, if you agree to let us train you not to shit on our carpets, we will help you not to completely eradicate your own species by eating anything and everything and then getting ill and dying. Okay, it's a deal. I feel like sheep are another one. What the bloody hell are sheep? I mean,
they're not trying to survive. They're not.
But
really.
A lot of sheep's problems might be sort of related to mankind in as much as the classic sheep gambit of getting their stupid heads stuck in fences and then getting very raggy when you try and help them.
But if you were in a pub quiz and somebody said, who is more dim, a sheep or DJ Khaled, what would you have to say? I mean, well, it prompts thought, does it not? It's like saying, who's more of a show-off, a peacock at a stately home or Jason Derulo?
Who would you rather have in your house? An actual pit bull or the recording artist pit bull? Because I'd go with the dog every time. I couldn't be doing with him mincing around my living room in his aviators with his stupid slap head talking about himself loudly.
Have you noticed? Have you noticed how I messaged old Chris Harris last week because I said, "What? Seriously, can I ask what is going on with Freddie Flintoff's pre-internet era sex tourist glasses that he wears?" He's wearing proper Ford Scorpio driver's glasses.
I know.
Why?
I thought it was ironic at first, and it's not. And he's obviously very pleased with them because he wears them all the time. Well, I suppose they're his glasses, so he has to if he's short-sighted. But yeah,
they are a bit street prowler off of the 80s.
They're like Street Prowler has mugged Deirdre Barlow in the 80s. Very odd. But yeah,
I had them down as, if you've watched that BBC series, I think it's BBC, called The Serpent, about that.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
With who's the actress in it? She's brilliant.
Yes, I know who you mean, and I can't remember.
Olivia, not Olivia Colman.
No, although she's
Thingy Cole. Her surname's Cole.
Lily Cole? No.
Bums. No, it'll come.
It's also got that guy in it who's really brilliant.
But anyway, the Serpent, it reminds me, he constantly wears tobacco tinted aviators in that, but of course it's set in the 70s, so it's allowed.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling that, and it's a very well shot, obviously based on a true story, pretty sinister thing. But yeah, I'm wondering if Flintoff's going to break out into the Serpent spec tobacco leaf tinted flight glasses as I used to know them as.
Flight glasses.
I have a mild phobia of aviators.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think over 90% of people, they simply don't suit. And I feel the urge I want to say something to them like, please don't wear those. Mostly women. I just don't think they suit women.
Really?
No, they don't work. They're not the shape of anyone's face. They're just not.
I disagree. My wife's got a pair of aviators, which she doesn't actually wear anymore, I don't think. I haven't seen her wearing them for ages.
It's because she realised, she looked in the mirror, she looked like a sex tourist.
No, actually, I think she looks very attractive in her aviators, and I've got a pair of aviators which I haven't worn for ages, but I keep them in my Defender as emergency car sunglasses.
I keep them in my in a case which is in the shape of a Jaguar XJS. It's also a Jaguar XJS, and that's where I keep them.
I've got a Jaguar XJS storage case. Oh yeah, how big is it? It's the size of a Jaguar. I mean, it is a Jaguar XJS, if I'm honest.
That's what it is.
No, actually, I'm going to dispute that. I think aviators can look quite cool on people, unlike wraparound sunglasses, which don't suit anybody in the world ever.
What do you mean, like the ones we talked about a few podcasts ago? Did
we talk about it on the podcast, or was that a real life conversation?
I can't remember. The high-end running glasses. High-end running. They're instantly out of date. But because they're just...
And awful. I mean, also, I just don't go, ooh, now, who's my style icon? I think Paula Radcliffe.
That's true. No, that doesn't
It's not
happen.
a thing. I tell you now, on the aviators front, new celebrity aviator enthusiast I notice is President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Does he go for the old
rocks an aviator,
Aviator?
But then he is a gentleman of a certain age. But
did
you see that?
Doesn't he drive a Corvette?
He does have a Corvette,
well,
I think he's not allowed to drive it anymore.
The boxes have been ticked, right? Has old Corvette, yes. Probably has bleached white New Balance trainers with fawn slacks, check.
And I bet he's a big enthusiast of the chinos if he's not wearing a suit.
I bet he's got his mobile phone clipped on the outside of his trousers.
Oh, in a black faux leather pouch.
Yeah, and that's because he gets in and out of a sports car and he doesn't want to chafe the seats. So he's a thinking man. But yeah, I can see that aviators on the Biden are good, like you say, era correct.
Yes, those era correct sunglasses for that man is he in his 70s or 80s? I can't remember.
I think he's in his.
Anyway, I think aviators are quite cool.
Actually, I can think of two people where aviators work. The original Mad Max with Mel Gibson, I think, right at the beginning when he's doing all the checks on his car and listening in on the walkie-talkies because he knows the Night Rider is coming and he's got to intervene, and that sequence is quite epic. I think he has some dirty tobacco tints on them with driving gloves, or they could be fingerless gloves. I can't remember, which makes it ultra seedy, but anyway, it's set in the future, so it's fine. And then the other one is probably Tom Selleck in Magnum, because it's the combination of open shirt, just an abundance of chest pubes and tobacco tints and sunny weather and the bright Hawaiian shirt. That does work.
Wait, hang on. Are you just talking, when you're talking about aviators, are you talking exclusively about the tobacco tint rather than the mirrored?
Yeah, see, does anybody suit the full mirror apart from a helicopter pilot?
Well, yeah, because what about Tom Cruise in Top Gun? Did he not rock some mirrored aviators?
Well, I suppose he is an actual aviator, isn't he? So I think the criteria is: are you an aviator? No, I'm driving Kia Karens. Right, don't wear them.
Yeah. Nice watch you got there. What is it? It's a Submariner, is it? And where's your submarine?
Yeah, well, I guess it's the same principle, isn't it? Yeah. When was the last time you went coral diving? I can't swim. Right, take it off.
I've actually done. I'm hydrophobic. Hydrophobic, is that right? Aquaphobic? Basically, I've got rabies, and so this watch has become highly ironic.
I think the person that doesn't suit aviators at all, and probably an easy target, is DJ Khaled, bringing the conversation back.
DJ Khaled, yes.
Yeah.
What does DJ Khaled suit apart from being strapped to a coffee table and thrown into the North Sea?
He's inspiration to everybody in that you cannot really have a talent and you can gormlessly shout your own name at the beginning of every track and become a multimillionaire as a consequence. And I'm sure he's a lovely family man, but he strikes me as being a colossal thickie. And
yeah, I haven't really given it much thought, but now you've mentioned it.
DJ Khaled. I mean, he's in there.
But you're right, he does just shout his own name.
Imagine going into a VIP room in a club, if those things exist, both clubs and VIP rooms, and you've got DJ Khaled, J Balvin, Sean Paul and Jason Derulo all sat round a table trying to do like showy shot drinking. I'd just be like, oh gosh, this is Please, world, swallow me up. This is awful.
No, I've got a worse situation for you. Imagine taking those people into the British Library.
That would be amazing.
Before we go in here, just to remind you, you have to keep your voices. Oh my God! Stop shouting.
Could you put them in the back of a plain van and do a? You're going to storm a house at 3 a.m. of a well-known aggressive drug lord, and you've got Derulo, Paul, Khaled, Balvin.
What if you brought a sound system? We don't need this. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Whatever you do, don't shout.
Springwatch with DJ Khaled, Shawnee Paul, and Pitbull.
That'd be amazing.
Stop it! You've scared off all the badgers, you fuckwit.
And Balvin would go, isn't it amazing the mating dance that these birds do? And they only do it in this time of year. And Derulo will go, I can dance better than that, watch. And then stamp around.
And fall in a lake.
He does his sort of faux Michael Jackson dancing, and then all the deer in the region run away. And that's it for the next 2 weeks.
Good. Well,
DJ Khaled,
BBC Natural History Unit. This is in your hands now. Please,
yeah, bloody hell, that needs to happen for Comic Relief, doesn't it?
Now, look, guys. Listen, look, guys. And when I say guys, I mean specifically you. You've had a bit of a torrid time since we last spoke.
It was,
this has been mentioned on social media, but I thought I have to ask more questions. The headline is Saturday before last, you ended up living in Frankfurt Airport.
Yeah, that's correct. I had a connecting flight on the way back from Croatia at Frankfurt. I couldn't get a direct flight, and I went out there to drive the new Rimac hypercar.
And the video of that drops tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be tomorrow. Correct? It will be tomorrow. So I can't reveal its finished name, and I can't reveal what it was like. But I mean, they've revealed the specs anyway. I mean, it's bonkers, but it's just under 2,000 horsepower. So it was exciting. So I went. Let's put it like this: I went from driving flat out and filming probably the most expensive car in the world right now, €2 million. 258 miles an hour, the best of every piece of tech on this earth, to an airport where I got on the plane, and then I went from there to what happened was I had the last seat on the plane, so I had the back of the plane seat, sat down. I was really quite tired, hadn't slept very well, and was just knackered after 2 days filming, and I think I did the schoolboy error, which I've never done. I've never lost my passport, Rich. I think I put the passport down on the seat next to me because there was no one sitting on it. So it was a smaller plane. And I got woken up just before we landed, and I realised my connecting flight was very tight, and they refused to check me in all the way through. So I knew I had to recheck in at Frankfurt. So I was a bit in a fluster, and I knew I couldn't get off the plane before anybody else. So I said to the hostess lady, I said, listen, do you know, because Frankfurt's notoriously a massive airport, do you know how long it's going to take me to recheck in? Because I'm worried I'm going to miss it. He said, oh, it's fine. Frankfurt Airport's only operating out of one terminal right now. I said, oh, that softens the blow a bit. Okay. And I think I just waiting for everyone to get off the plane who was so slow. Just a rush, I think I got up and I didn't do the look-back check. You know, you do your lifesaver look over the shoulder blind spot when you're driving a car.
Yeah, but always the look back on getting off anything.
Do the look back.
Do it on the tube and stuff.
I didn't do the look back. Okay, I grabbed my bags and I went, and I'm sure the passport was left on the seat. Now, slightly annoyingly, it was only me on the plane and a hostess, and she must have not seen it. And if that had happened, it would have changed what happened for the next 18 hours significantly. So I get off the plane, get onto the bus, and instantly on the bus I'm starting to pat myself and realise where I normally would pat myself for my passport is not there. I empty my bag in front of confused people. I think I'm huffing and puffing in disbelief.
But you're on a bus going across the tarmac.
I'm going a bus.
You can't run back through a tunnel or any of that.
No. I said to the bus driver as soon as we pulled up, I think I've left my passport on the plane, and he didn't give any shits. So he just pointed to Lufthansa service is over there. So I ran to Lufthansa service, and it was closed for refurbishment. I was like, oh, that's really handy, thank you. Bearing in mind this is a Sunday. Oh, sorry, bearing in mind this is a Saturday night. Is it a Saturday? Yes, a Saturday night. And Germany doesn't do a great deal on a Sunday.
They don't, do they?
No, they're still quite trad. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it just makes it slightly more tricky when one loses one's passport and it's one of the last flights operating out of that airport that day. So I'm in a panic. I run to where I think I need to go. So, like I said, the Lufthansa desk is closed. I run to the police. They don't seem to really care. There's sort of lots of shrugging. Okay, have you checked lost and found? No, I don't know where it is. They made a phone call. They went, yeah, lost and found everyone's been made redundant. And
oh my God.
Lost and found, there's only one employee in the whole of Frankfurt Airport, and they work like Monday and Thursday. I go, right, well, that immediately not helpful. So I run across. I mean, you know what it's like. I'm running, and I'm getting so hot and flustered. I have to go through security check to get across to where I'm going, through one security check to a different part of the terminal. Can't go through immigration, so I'm entrapped in international territory, I think they call it. So it isn't classed as waters, yeah. It's not classed as Germany yet. So I find, okay. I'm running around, and I realise that my connecting flight the window is shrinking. I find another Lufthansa desk, and the guy has got a big queue. Get to the end of the queue, and I explain it. And luckily, he actually seems to listen. I've asked numerous people all the way. Got absolutely bollocked by a cleaner because I was hanging around. Yeah, I got bollocked in German by a cleaner because I was hanging around in an area where you're not allowed to loiter, apparently. But I was just trying to explain to him that he said, you need to go through here with your in German, he said, with your boarding pass. I said, I don't have my boarding pass. And he said, what, you just need to go and get it. And I was like, I can't get it because it's gone. That's the point.
Were you talking to him in German?
I talked a little bit in German, and I started shouting in English because I was very sweaty and very stressed. Because I still had
sehr sweaty.
I still had a sliver of a chance of catching a plane at this point, although I didn't. I just thought I did. So, Lufthansa guy tries to sort out my issue. The flight comes and goes. Mm-hmm. He can't get a straight answer about where my thing is, and then he clocks off on his shift, and he says, "Oh, just so you know, the whole airport just shuts at 10 o'clock at the moment because nobody flies very much at the moment, so it's operating on a reduced schedule." I said, "Well,
so you are now trapped inside a closing down airport."
Yeah, but in a specific area.
And this is Saturday night still, and you're
this is Saturday night.
Waters.
Apparently, I think Eurovision was on. So there's only one positive I take away from this, and that is I didn't see or hear anything about Eurovision because I was trapped admittedly in a European place. But without a television and without any shits being given about Eurovision because it's a tragic waste of money. But anyway, I was. So I said, okay, well, what can I do? He said, there's one thing you can do. He said, I'm going to take you to the police in a minute and just explain that you're going to be sleeping here tonight somewhere in this area. But before he did that, he said, this kiosk opens at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And he said, you need to be here the minute it opens because that plane that you got off leaves for another country at 8. And if the police or any Lufthansa staff haven't rechecked it by then, you'll probably never see your passport again.
Oh, my God.
So I go, oh, shit, right, okay. Okay, fine. So I do a recce of the area of the airport that I'm allowed in, and all the shops are shutting. And I go through my bag for the 4th time just to make sure I haven't accidentally squirreled my passport. I even check inside my trousers and pants in the toilet because I thought, I don't know, maybe I've stuck it in my pants. I don't know. I'm thinking of everything.
I've probably put my passport up my arse just for safekeeping.
Exactly. I slipped it inside a greasy condom and I've just wedged it into my jacksie because that's a really logical thing to do when you're on a flight. No, so I'm doing that and I'm getting a bit flustered. And I'm annoyed with myself because I have quite a ritual of passports because I usually fly several times a month up until the world went upside down. But anyway, alas not. I managed to find in my bag a swag of euros in cash, maybe 50 euros in change and loose notes. I'm thinking, well, that's good. There's a lot of opportunities for vending machines there. I found 2 vending machines that I could live
Because,
off.
hang on, did you not also... was this the point at which you discovered your credit card wasn't working?
Yeah, I went to buy some... what did I buy? I think I bought some quiche because it's the only thing that was left on this closing stand. And I went to buy that and a drink and some fresh orange juice, and my credit card just got denied. And my credit card had been playing up a little bit, I noticed in the last few days. I think the actual card, the chip on the card is maybe damaged because I do have enough money. I'm not just lying. And so, yeah, that stopped working. And that's the point where I realised I had to make sure I had enough of that. Luckily, I brought a puffer jacket with me that I could use as a blanket/pillow. How
many people are in the airport? So when it gets to sort of 10 o'clock, are you last man standing? Is there
was a couple, maybe 2 or 3. There was one guy in shorts and a t-shirt who looked like he's a trapped holidaymaker. He was just pacing up and down, shouting. So I avoided him. I went to a different part of the terminal area. I found a kids' soft play area that had been sanitised, and obviously no kids were around. And I seriously thought this could be the best place to dwell for the night. It's soft.
Yeah.
But then I thought, but children are mucky. So I don't trust them. So I'm not going to do that. So I found a really quiet place where they were playing a corporate video on a TV screen, which had a really short turnaround time. It was, I think, 3 minutes. So I watched, I think after about the 8th watch of that, or the 8th listen of it, it's like, no, bollocks to this, I've got to go. I know. Yeah. So
Did they leave the lights on?
They did. They left most of the lights on, yes. And in fact, the guy, bless him, when the guy clocked off from Lufthansa, I never got his name, he said, I'm finishing up now, I'm locking up, I will take you, I'll walk you, because I'm going this way anyway, I'll take you to where the Federal Police main kiosk is, and you can have a conversation with them. So he took me to the Federal Polizei and had the conversation about it, and the guy was, I mean, not massively helpful, friendly, but not very helpful. And he said, sleep on as he said, Z13. Yeah, you could go down to Z13. He said, that is if I was sleeping here, that's the best place to sleep. So I went down there, and sure enough, I think the chairs were a bit more comfortable. And so I went down there, and then sort of survived the night. And
this is Saturday night, because I got the first message I got from you was about 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, because it was on my phone when I woke up.
So that would have been, I set my alarm to make sure I got to the Lufthansa kiosk at 6 o'clock sharp, as I was told to do. Got there, it's not open. I wait till 6:30, it's still not open. I'm like, I've had a bit of a sense of humour failure now, because I'm tired, I'm weary, I've got a reasonable amount of BO on the go, probably 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is just bollocks. I've been told that categorically this opens. I went to the police, of which every time I go and see the police, when I come back, I've got to go back through a security pat down. And every time I went back through which is really quite stressful, every time I went back through the security pat down, they took one more thing off me that they maybe hadn't realised shouldn't have been on a plane. So I was gradually losing belongings. So
you are not allowed trousers in here.
The second time I went, they took my toothpaste. I was really pissed off about that, even though it was half used. It was all I had. And the third time, I had a really nice spun aluminium water bottle I got from the Skoda Enyaq launch, and I was topping it up from a fountain, because I found a water fountain. So I thought, well, good water supply, that'll keep me going. I know I'm not exactly Ray Mears, but you know what I mean. And I forgot it still had, I don't know, half water drunk in it. Well, without telling me, They opened my bag while I was putting my belt on and stuff, and they took the bottle out and they never put it back in. They just took it.
What?
So I got back to my seat area like a tramp does, and thought I'll top my bottle up, and it wasn't there. So they took my Cognac bottle, bastards. And I'm thinking I've got to reduce my amount of trips to the police because it's getting out of hand. The police said they've called through again. There's nobody at Lost and Found. There's none of the cabin staff have reported anything. And when I went back, Lufthansa had opened, but it opened and there was about 30 people in the queue. It had gone from nothing to VMAX. So I'm in the queue for flipping ages. And then I finally meet a woman called Alina, a middle-aged lady working for Lufthansa who's really... She's a fantastic listener, and she could tell. I think she could sense how weary I was.
Possibly, you were a man on the ragged edge.
I think even through an efficient German mask, she might be able to smell me. And she tried to get to the bottom of it, but she actually said this to me. I said, "Look, I don't understand why nobody seems to care, or like, what's the protocol for this?" She says, "I'll be honest with you, we don't have a firm system for when somebody loses their passport in this area." I said, "But people must do it. They must do it every day in the world." I said, "I've never lost my passport in my life, but at least I've lost it on controlled airside circumstances."
Yeah.
So anyway, she does help me, and she said, "Right, there's a flight at 2 p.m. today. There's one at 8. You're not going to make that, or 8:30, whatever it was. There's one at 2 p.m." She said, "I'm going to let's get the details for the embassy." So me and her contacted the embassy in Berlin. While she contacted them, she booked me on the flight. Thankfully, because I hadn't been able to check in on the flight when it was connecting the day before, she said, "Oh, whoever booked your flight, it's a flexi ticket. So we won't charge you any extra for that. You can just book that ticket." So I was like, "Oh, that's a bonus," because I thought it was going to cost me about £3,500 for a new flight, but I was willing to take it right now. I was a broken man. But the thing is, she got a confirmation a couple of hours later from the embassy to say, "Yeah, we've made a note." Luckily, I had a photo in my phone of my passport with its number and its details because of doing all the COVID testing. I had to photograph my passport. So I had that as proof. I had my driving licence, which helped. But every single time I went through a security thing and they said, "Can we have your passport?" I said, "No, I don't have one." And of course, alarm bells ring. And I had to do this. I kid you not, I had to do this 6 times. And you have to start the chain of conversation from the top. So by the end of it, you've just got the driest mouth. You're bored of your own story. And honestly, it made me feel... And
you're doing this from behind a mask, presumably.
I'm doing this from... So I've had to wear a mask for the entire time I'm at the airport. So I've had to sleep with a mask on. It's just awful. Honestly, I mean, the smell of my own mouth, just on full EGR mode, it's just awful. So what happens is, in the end, with a lot of conversations, I do manage to finally get through. Then I get to the gate really early because I think I want to allow for every eventuality here. Get to the gate and I speak to a really helpful guy who's doing the document checks for COVID and all the other shizzle. Oh, obviously I've picked a perfect time to lose my passport in the middle of a pandemic as well, when there's 8 times more paperwork for every traveller. He checks all my stuff and he says, "Okay, I understand your situation. I think we're okay. I think we're good to go. You stand here and I'll make sure that there's plenty of time for Lufthansa to get you on the flight." There's an old lady who goes in the queue for her documents, and she hasn't filled in this form properly on the government website. And she said, "Oh, well, a friend of mine filled it out for me." He said, "Well, I can't let you on the plane without that." He looked around and he's looked at me and he said, "Don't suppose you could help this lady fill in this online form because she can't get on the plane without it." So I said, "Yeah, okay. Well, I'm thinking I'm on the home straight now. I've just got to get into England and hopefully get through immigration in England." This lady sits down next to me. She's born in the UK, but she's lived in Denmark for 50 years. She's probably in her 70s. She's got a smartphone, but she's not particularly quick with it. And I have to fill out with her this whole new governmental form. And honestly, it took me less than 10 minutes to do it. 40-odd minutes in, and they've called most of the people through and onto the plane. The guy is now looking at me and he shouts over to me, he says, "You've got to get on the plane in the next 5 minutes, otherwise I'm shutting the gate." And I said, "But I've got to help this woman, otherwise she can't get on the plane." And I felt invested with this woman called Janine. I felt invested. I've got to help her.
Janine.
And I said to Janine, well, can we kind of walk and fill it out at the same time? I was getting so stressed. And she was like, and then it got to the question like, oh, there's a serial number on your COVID kit. We need the serial number so we can cross-reference that you've actually bought it and that it's gone to your house. She went, yeah, well, someone else ordered that kit. So I don't really... I'm like, oh, shitting hell.
Oh.
She's now searching through her emails, like one at a time, which is just taking minutes. Oh, it's so stressful. So that happened. I managed in the end. She was on like the last question, which is like, can you please enter where you're staying for the 4th time, and are you promising to definitely quarantine? I said, listen, I've got to get on this plane. If I miss this plane, I'm doomed. I get on the plane. I don't see her again.
Janine.
But Janine, it turns out Janine did get on the plane because she sent me an email, and the reason why she had my email is because she couldn't find the government website that she needed to fill in. So in the end, I just copied and pasted the link onto an email and put her email address in, because I said it's quicker to do that when we're in such a rush.
God.
So Janine has my email address, not in a pervy way. And so we did get back. But yeah, and then when I got back, immigration was... Actually, Heathrow immigration were brilliant. I think without that photograph of my real passport, I would have been snookered. But they were really helpful. I managed to get through with a bit of ducking and diving. I managed to get through that, and then I thought, oh, this is a bit of euphoria. Get myself a coffee, walk out to go to Longstay on the bus. There's no one else on the bus. It's weird right now. You have to call for a bus when you're in the car park, and the bus just comes to get you because it doesn't just keep running around in circles every 5 minutes.
Oh. Why did you long stay when you're only supposed to be away for 24 hours? Wouldn't you medium stay? Or even short stay if they're doing deals? I
was going to do short stay, and I just looked at the price and went, no, screw you, San Diego. The bus doesn't take that long. And Chop said the same thing to me. Why didn't you just go short stay? I said, I don't know, I just didn't. Anyway, I didn't. I get to the car park and I realise, I pre-booked the car park, and I'm like, whatever it is, 9 hours late for picking my car up. I'm in Chops' Jimny because I was having my electric press car swapped with another one on the day I was out filming, so I had to take her car. Well, I'm walking across the car park to the kiosk where you pay. I found £1 on the floor. I thought, that's nice. I found a £1 coin. That's kind of lucky. I buzz the kiosk guy and tell him that I'm later than I expected. He said, go, just drive to the barrier and we'll sort it out there. Make sure you got your card and your payment. I get there and I buzz it, and this is nice actually. This is good. I don't know if I should say this, but I buzz and I said, I've lost my passport. So
I mean, at this point, you are sort of... You're Steve Martin in Planes, Trains and Automobiles, sort of that.
I'm very
that
wary.
Kind of raggedy sweatiness that he reaches.
Yeah, what's weird is I'm really calm by this point. I've gone beyond anger. I'm just really calm because I've got to conserve my energy. I've been conserving energy now for several hours, so I'm running on reserve power, economy mode. And he said, "Oh, I lost my passport once." He said, "I landed in Sydney to see some friends, and I lost it in the airport terminal somewhere." He said it was really difficult. It really ruined my holiday. And then he said, "Okay, on you go." And the barrier went up. I said, "But I've been in the car park like whatever it is, like 10 hours longer than I should have." He goes, "You've had a bad enough time. I'm allowed to give people leeway depending." So he said,
"Oh,
just go." And that was really lovely. And I drove home, and I managed to get home in time for a Sunday roast. So that was nice. Apart from the fact that I got home and checked my emails, and I got done for speeding the week before. But I'll take that.
I feel like that's separate.
It's a separate incident.
You're alive, you're home.
I'm alive, and I'm home, and I'm safe. And I want to say a big thank you to Elena at Lufthansa, and I want to say a big thank you to Heathrow Immigration. And also the next day, I guess that's when Mr. Lost and Found in Frankfurt turns up. "Oh yeah, we've Lufthansa cabin crew have found your passport. We would like to send it back to you." And like, of course you have, because I knew it was there all along, and that's why all of my clothes smell so bad of BO. I'm going to have to incinerate them in the back garden.
Also, after spending so long in an airport and on aeroplanes, were you that sort of where you just feel a bit slimy? Like you reckon you could probably take a palette knife to one of your forearms just remove a layer of
I just felt like
scum.
I'd been breathing in airport fog for so long. Weirdly, I went to bed, and the next morning I wasn't very energetic, but I got up and I went for a run. I just felt I had to purge the bags, the lung bags of badness, and just kind of reset. But I'm sure other stuff happened during that. I mean, I bumped into an enormous amount of strange people, as you do in an airport. One guy, I swear, had a massive prolapse in the toilet when I went in there. I mean, the sound of it was just unbelievable. It's like someone throwing an overfilled water balloon into the air and making it land on a marble floor. It just sounded ridiculous. Like no one's coming back from that. What on earth has happened in there?
Oh my god! Well, anyway, I think it's a bit of a blow for the German reputation for efficiency there.
Yeah, that was not
like it was a right old shambles at Frankfurt Airport.
It wasn't German.
That's a weird airport as well, isn't it? Because I've been there, and it's like it feels like it's got security checks all over the place.
Yes,
with the security checks all compartmentalised.
Well, or it's snail shaped, where you're constantly going round and further into the. I do feel like I did extra security on top of the security. And luckily I'd packed light because I was trying to be efficient. But yeah, it was an absolute...
Were you... Yeah, I was going to say, did you have a case or not just a bag?
I just had I had a Mercedes SLS Weekender bag, actually, an official AMG bag that I got on the launch of the SLS, and it is an official AMG part number on it. I think it still has the tag on it.
So you had your Skoda Enyaq water bottle in your Mercedes SLS bag.
Yes, I did.
Was there anything that you'd actually paid for about your purse?
Yes, I did. There was plenty of paid for items. I will say that now. Good. Plenty of paid for items.
You weren't wearing a pair of Nissan Almera trousers or anything?
No, I wasn't. I'm trying to think if there's any other freebies that I had. No, I didn't. Well, I had a Rimac...
Jeep fleece?
No, I haven't got a Jeep. I'd never had a Jeep fleece. Welcome to the Jeep fleece. Welcome to the Jeep fleece. Welcome to the Jeep fleece. Who was that by? Was that by the Wonder Stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd never like that song. Sounds better with the Jeep fleece.
Oh, on that note, I sent you a message. I was trying to cheer you up after your Frankfurt ordeal, and I sent you that message about my new game, and you didn't respond.
Is this the curry?
No. You take a song that has the word heart in the lyrics or the title, and you replace the word heart with the word Saab.
Oh yeah, that was quite good actually.
Well, I wish you'd said that. I felt quite blanked. I was going to send you some examples, and you were a bit like, you just didn't reply, and I was like, oh dear, he's recovering from...
Yeah, I think I had bigger fish to fry, as they say. I think I was just trying to deal with just the stress of it all and the come down. It was a bit of a come down.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I left my Saab in San Francisco. It was one of my best ones, I think.
Oh, that's nice. It's a bit like it's very similar. That is a good game. Maybe the listeners can play it, and it's the same as changing anything from Heaven to Devon. That's always good.
I still enjoy that one.
Yeah,
I mean, I used to, because I'll be honest, I used to change heart to arse quite a lot.
I used to do that. Total eclipse of the arse.
Tell it to my arse if you know what to do. But in a way, it's sort of like the heart to arse can run in parallel with the heart to Saab game because they cover different bases and they work in different songs. Last Christmas I Gave You My Saab, I think, works better than Last Christmas I Gave You My Arse. So
I mean, you could do both. It would be a chaotic unusual Christmas.
But Madonna's Open Your Arse to me is a bit rude, whereas Madonna's Open Your Saab to me just sounds like she wants to put some stuff in the boot. So it sort of works on a more gentle level.
It goes from being hyper smutty to just being quite suave.
Yeah.
And, you've got a really safe, well-equipped car.
Yeah.
Can I have a lift? Yeah, that's true. Saab. Well, I think have we had this conversation about Saabs before? I've never owned a Saab. I feel like it's something. I feel slightly guilty that I haven't. It's weird. It's really, and I was when I was.
It's all right. They don't exist anymore. There's no need to.
Well, they sort. I mean, the building exists, and there's apparently there's a bit of Chinese R&D going on in it. I don't know what.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah,
but I think if ever there was an EV waiting to happen, it would be a Saab badged one with lots of amazing interior
really
luxury.
pivots the Saab name into EVs. It feels like it's sort of compatible, isn't it? All that kind of Scandinavian social conscience and stuff would sit well with Saab.
And you can have a vegan that's just got, instead of calling it ludicrous mode or balls out mode or whatever Tesla will call it, Saab just calls it vegan mode.
Yeah.
It just means like ridiculous.
Or just jet mode or something. Yeah,
just
they could still
silly jet. I'd like
leverage all that nonsense.
I'd very much like a Saab. I don't know if it'll be anticlimactic, but I quite like the really late ones, the very last of the 9.3s, were they, or the 9.5s? 9.3s?
Yeah. Well, the 9.5 that was the last 9.5.
Yeah.
It was quite new when Saab went under. I drove one of those and it felt a little bit unfinished. Like it just dynamically, it just felt like they could have probably spent a few more months on it, and it would have just been. Which could you
buy it and finish it yourself? Is it one of those cars?
I do wonder.
Just do a few
choice. Like loose, like it needed better shock absorbers or something. But
well, that's all possible.
Yeah, but then, not long before the end of Saab, well, I was still working at the BBC, and we used to get hire cars sometimes to go on shoots, and it was always a bit of a lottery and quite exciting in a way because you never knew what we were supposed to get category B cars from Avis or Hertz or whoever, but they used to send all manner of nonsense over, and one day I went to pick up a hire car, and it was a Saab 9.3 Estate, diesel automatic.
Ooh.
And I thought, this I bet is going to feel a bit terrible, and it was a deeply charming car. It was really nice. And and for some reason, we kept needing just a spare car to go places. We hadn't got press car in, so we kept extending the booking on this hire car. And I gave it to a colleague to use for something, and then he gave it back to me because I needed to go somewhere. And we ended up keeping this car for like 2 weeks. I thought it had gone back to the hire company, and then one of my colleagues turned up on a shoot in it, and I was like, my Saab's here again, yay! And it was we had it at least 2 weeks, and I drove it probably sort of on 3 separate occasions during that 2 weeks, and it was just a really nice car.
I don't know if I've driven one of those, but I know they're second-hand bargains now, very much.
Yeah,
absolute bargain.
I think that's the thing, but I think they sort of sorted that car out because I remember driving it when it was new and thinking it was sort of okay, better than the previous one that was very sort of Vauxhall-y. That was the one. That's the song I couldn't stop singing to myself around the house before I messaged you about my game. Was Moby's "Why Does My Saab Feel So Bad?" and I was thinking it's probably because it's one of the GM era ones.
Why does my Saab? That good. That's quite a sad
Feel
song.
So bad.
It's quite a blues song. That could work. I like that. What Saab was that? What was the weakest?
What was Moby's Saab? It was probably the first of the new generation 900s.
Oh yeah,
they weren't very well sorted, were they?
That's right. It's one of those.
It looked quite nice, but yeah,
it did look good. A friend of mine had a 2-door or 3-door turbo, one of those. Why does my Saab?
You can tweak them up, can't you? Because of the turbos, you can tweak them up. But then I believe the
yes,
is in those or the 9000s, the 95s, the gearbox is the weak link.
Yeah. A lot of people buy those Saabs, and in the last 10 years, a lot of people have bought those Saabs as engine donors for other cars. Mostly Vauxhalls. They're a really popular engine donor because the engine's worth more than the rest of the car. So you just buy that. So I think they are going to be really rare. They could be rare, but nobody cares. I think they're going to come into that category.
Oh shit! I just thought of another song. If you were selling a Saab and you suspected that the buyer was just going to part it out and use the engine,
yes.
Don't go breaking my Saab.
I couldn't if I tried because I'm a mechanic moron.
You promise you're not going to just yank the engine out. Don't go breaking my Saab.
That's great. I love that. Can you imagine? That 70 or 80s Elton John off his face probably trying to like jack a car up really high on a wobbly jack with no axle stands. and he's swigging like vintage wine whilst like picking the wrong size spanner and just rounding all the heads off the bolts. It's okay, I'll have this out in the hour. I'll have it out within the hour. You won't, Elton. You're not doing that properly.
You won't. He's wearing a terrible tracksuit.
It's got a load of power steering oil all over it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Holy shit. I have to tell you this,
yes,
just because it's a very tenuous link, but fuck it.
Yes.
Celebrities and cars, we're not going back to Sade again. However, in that same show where we first went heavy on Sade, I think, you mentioned Robert Plant.
Yes, I did.
Well, a listener called Dan Wright got in touch. He said, following this week's podcast, which was a couple of weeks ago, I finally remembered to pop you a message after you asked what car does Sade drive. Unfortunately, I do not have the answer to this, but it did remind me of a previous podcast reference to Robert Plant and what he drives and his detailing habits. We did talk about that, didn't we?
Oh, because he enjoys that magazine extract which said, back when they were together, he said, I love cleaning cars.
Yeah.
Some people say it's boring, but I dig it. It was very 70s the way he said it.
Get your head holes around this. Dan says, circa 2016-17, I was a sales manager at a Worcestershire JLR garage. Robert Plant bought my demonstrator, a 4,000-mile Jaguar XFS 3-litre diesel.
Oh, yeah, good.
As
good
in
one.
his words, he likes fuel economy and can't stand losing the VAT on a new car.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Can't
so
stand losing the VAT.
Yeah. Can't stand losing the VAT. Yeah, I got that tip off Sting. Dan goes on to say, not only that, he bought the in-house SuperGuard protection, because he's not much of a fan of cleaning cars. So Robert's had a distinct change of heart in his old age.
Oh, bugger. We had the smithandsniff@gmail.com. We had an email from a chap called... This is a lovely letter. Digital letter, obviously. Guys, I very much enjoyed hearing about Sade's RX-8. What a twist to that story. Speaking of famous people, I've got a short story about... Bugger me, this is funny. Hang on.
It's this one, yes.
I had the privilege of working with a few years ago, but was warned by the studio engineer to park my car as far away as possible, as was not known for his driving skills. While sitting in the studio with the engineer, I heard the unmistakable sound of a vehicle hitting and scraping something in a fairly major way. I looked outside and Mr. had arrived in a BMW E36 in extremely basic spec while manoeuvring around another car at this very tight studio car park and scraped the entire left side of the car. Had scraped the entire left side of the car on a raised step, resulting in a massive gouge from the hubcap, no alloys obviously, down the door and the 3/4 panel. He parked his bog spec Beamer and just got out. A normal person would have inspected for damage and been stressed out, but didn't even bother to go round and look at the damage. Instead, coming straight into the studio and getting straight to work. The engineer told me later that day he would get another 800 quid runabout and the cycle would then be repeated. He refused to spend any money on a car at all. If you'd like to read this out on the podcast, I'd be very honoured. Oh, but I'd ask...
You didn't read down, did you?
Oh... But I'd ask if you don't use my name.
Right. So now I'm going to have to bleep out.
I'm going to have to bleep his name out.
I'm going to bleep the listener's name and bleep the name of the singer.
You knew that was coming, didn't you? I didn't.
Yes, because I read down, but I thought I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm going to wait for him to clatter into this.
I don't read down.
Man trap.
I don't read down. I don't read down.
You absolute bassoon. Right, anyway. Well, there we go. There's some bleeps been added to that in post-production because Jonny doesn't read down emails before setting off.
No, I don't.
If you'd like to send us a message and have your confidentiality breached, then send it to Jonny at...
Send it to Lorraine Kelly at Gmail.
Lorraine at... You know, we scoff at like businesses that have elite plumbing at hotmail.com on the vans, but I realise that we are guilty of it as well. We don't have a bespoke email address. It's a bit tawdry, but
is it dodgy? Does it spell dodginess?
Well, we don't have Smith and Sniff as a domain, do we? So I shouldn't have mentioned that either, because now someone will go and buy it.
We'll have to. Well, we've got to buy it now before this goes out, you bastard.
I might have to.
You sweat.
Hang on, just checking. Smithandsniff.com. Can't find server. Yay, no one's got that. And funny enough, it seems like no one's had even thought of buying it, which is a bit weird, because everything gets bought these days.
Everything does get bought,
doesn't it? It's like, you have catbuggery.com and someone's already sitting on it and wants to charge £600 for it. Not that I've tried to buy catbuggery.com, just to be clear about that. I'm looking at my list of stuff I wanted to talk about this week, and I've just got Robert Plant's XF. And did you see last week there was a press release went out about there's a new Ford Ranger Raptor Special Edition? Did you see this? You probably would.
No, I didn't. Ranger. I've heard that I know that there is a Ranger Raptor. I knew there was one coming, but
well, there's a new Ranger coming, and I think this is the last hurrah for the current shape Ranger Raptor, which is a car we liked.
We drove. We enjoyed that.
Wideo.
Yeah.
Good, amusing car. Do you know who's bought one of those? I'm not sure if this is common knowledge or something I should be saying, but we're all being very loose.
I'm going to say Richard Hammond.
Close. He did some promotional work for it. But no, actually bought one. TV's Jeremy Clarkson.
Did he?
For his farm.
For the farm. And he bought a Raptor, not just a base model. God, if he was...
No, I think he's bought it. I think he's now bought it. It's technically his
well, it's a work vehicle, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and they work on the farm, and his partner Lisa runs the farm shop, and she was doing it in a Range Rover, and it was getting a bit fucked up. So it's like, get a pickup, get a proper working.
You've got to get a pickup.
But no, the reason I bring this up is because this press release went out for the special edition, which is just called the Ranger Raptor Special Edition, I think. And the headline of the press release was, "Now with extra badass as standard, Ford introduces exclusive Ranger Raptor Special Edition pickup."
Oh, what?
They've written badass as two words with a hyphen in the middle and in inverted commas. Now, I looked this up. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, badass is one word.
I think it is one word.
Yeah, what they've written in the headline of this press release is "now with extra badass," as in like a poor quality
bottom.
Yeah. Now with extra shitty anus as standard, Ford introduces exclusive Ranger Raptor. Why did nobody go? No, bad ass is different from badass. You've written it wrong.
Muddy balloon knot Ranger. I don't know if is that the angle you're going for with this?
Now with low quality tea towel holder, it's the new Ford Ranger Raptor. Yeah, I think that's
that's not worked, has it? That's not worked
at all. And one other thing on my list is a couple of days ago I saw a man wearing Snap-on branded trousers.
Snap-on trousers?
Snap-on trousers. Like, not literally, but it would be like being a Lego person. But yeah, had some trousers with Snap-on written.
Have they got a lifetime guarantee? So say if you went into a breakdancing club after work and you thought, I'm going to give it everything, and you split the seams when you were going for some windmill manoeuvre, and then you just instantly phone up Snap-on Monday, the guy with the van, and go, listen, I've trashed my trousers, can you come and get me another one? So 34 waist. You go, yeah, no problem. I'm not even going to ask what you were doing in the lifetime guarantee.
No,
so.
That's it. We don't have to ask.
Is it trousers for life? Is that trousers for life with Snap-on?
Well, it's pretty handy. I wondered also, instead of having like a wardrobe, you have like a sort of metal cabinet with slide-out drawers in it that you keep your Snap-on trousers in. Maybe there's Snap-on socks and Snap-on T-shirts as well, but
I don't know.
I'm sure there are Snap-on T-shirts.
Yeah, there are. Can I just say,
Snap-on trousers?
Well, I don't rate Snap-on. I'm just going to put that out there. I think it's all just smoke and mirrors. I think it's ridiculous. I think none of the cabinets look tasteful, and they're all more than any of the cars I've ever bought. And I've used numerous other tool companies and always thought that the quality was no worse of a high-end tool, but they just don't shout about it. I think that the Snap-on's just the shouty American constantly saying I'm the best when actually you're probably not the best. It's a bit like DJ Khaled.
I was going to say, it's the pit bull of tools.
Yeah, just constantly shout. DJ
itself.
Khaled shouts, he proclaims his own name constantly, in case anyone's forgotten, including himself. That's Snap-on.
DJ Snap-on. Yeah,
DJ Snap-on. It's probably Eurovision Song Contest next year. DJ Snap-on. Yeah, an absolute stroker. He's.
I've heard professional mechanics say the same thing.
Have you?
That Snap-on is overpriced.
I think it feels a bit like, a sinister drug cartel where once you're in it, you can't get out of it. That's what I think Snap-on's like. Once you've bought one thing from them, it becomes mafioso. Like, well, you can't have any other make of tools,
and that's how you end up with the trousers.
That's how you end up.
You're in deep when your clothes are coming from Strap-on as well.
Strap-on. Well, that's maybe how they hook them
Freud
in.
To reception, please.
That's how they hook them in. Like dealers giving you a couple of free hits just to get you started, and then that brings you into the fold. Maybe you get a mysterious free Snap-on T-shirt through the post, and you go, "Oh, I never ordered one. This is weird." And then just a little note comes through the doorstep, going, "I know you. I see you've been looking for some Snap-on. You're thinking about buying some Snap-on tools. Here, have a free T-shirt, mate. These are normally £40. Have a go on that. I've got some trousers coming next week. They've got additional pockets and knee pads. You'll enjoy these. Have them. Lifetime guarantee. Doesn't matter what you do in them. You could kneel." You could run around on your knees on a gravel drive for an hour. We'll still replace them. It's fine. You could
really get your knee down on a high performance motorcycle without wearing any pads or leather. So we'll just replace them. Not your knees, obviously they're fucked, but your trousers.
Yes.
You could shit yourself on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And we'll be there with some fresh trousers.
Oh, we were talking about air raid sirens being sinister. Last podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Our friend Jonathan Gitlin, who's a lovely guy, British journalist, lives out in the States. He's a listener. He said, just wanted to let you guys know about the air raid sirens in America during the Cold War that was powered by Chrysler V8s.
Yes.
Did you know about
these? They were
these?
Hemis. I did. Weirdly, I think I've seen one in an American car museum, and I can't remember where.
I mean,
it's nutty, isn't it?
Jonathan sent me a link to an early 90s Robbie Coltrane documentary on the BBC. I remember those. They were really good. Where Robbie went to Don Garlitz's garage, the legendary drag racer, who had one. And yeah, you were absolutely right. It was a Chrysler V8 on a revolving turntable with a worm gear, I think. So the more it revved, the faster it went round on a turntable, and it made this huge siren noise when it was mounted on the top of a building, and you could hear it for 25 miles.
Bloody hell!
25 miles, and
Christ.
And it's just a V8 on top of the roof of a building that would just casually strike it around. And they run them on propane gas. They just had a couple of gas bottles, so they would strike them up using gas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
wow.
It seems a
There's
very
a risk you run it for
extreme...
too long and it's just going to overheat. Did it have a radiator? Must have done.
I don't know if it did have a radiator.
But I just wonder how it was getting air through it.
Yeah. Well,
might be going a bit too deep on this. I don't know.
But sure enough, you can get V8 air raid sirens, and of course, there's nothing more American than that.
Amazing, isn't it? We should probably bring this down the exit ramp to a stop. But if you've got anything you want to tell us about, I don't know, you found a straight six powered doorbell or something, then, do get in touch, smithandsniff@gmail.com. Do remember to clearly mark at the top if there's any specifics about not reading things out, because otherwise Jonny will do that and I will have to bleep it in post-production.
I'm sorry, Richard. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's okay. I don't actually know how to bleep things, but I'll work it out and hopefully
just use a doorbell noise or
okay, yeah, or a V8 air raid siren noise.
Yeah, or DJ Khaled shouting. Use that. Just DJ Khaled.
Okay. Before we go, 3 things to tell you. 1, do you like watching stuff? Then go to Jonny's solo YouTube channel, which is called The Late Break Show. Lots of good things on there, including, as of tomorrow, if you're listening to this on a Monday, a test of the new Rimac. And as you watch it, bear in mind what Jonny went through to bring this to you.
Do you know the irony of that? It's one of the last photos I took with that car. I put my passport, rested my passport on the carbon fibre rear bumper of it and took an arty photo. Little did I realise that would be significant in the several hours that came later.
The irony.
And I've never taken a picture of my passport in an arty way before.
No.
Never.
No.
Spooky.
Where were we? Yes, 2. If you like reading things, I've got various books out. One of them is called Steel Flies, which is a spoof Cold War thriller, supposedly written by spoof car journalist Roy Lanchester. And 3, short notice bit of trivia here. We just mentioned Robbie Coltrane. Many years ago, Robbie Coltrane called me a cheeky wee shite.
Did he?
Yeah. He meant it affectionately. He's a very nice man. Loves his cars as well. Loves his old American
He
stuff.
used to have
Really,
50s
really
Cadillacs, I know that. I don't know if he
yeah.
still does. In fact, he's probably got more money these days from doing Harry Squatter. Obviously, that amazing fantasy story about a child that simply won't leave the house that he didn't pay for. That's a great story. I do love those.
All right, well, anyway, thank you ever so much for listening to this. There'll be another one same time next week. Until then, thanks ever so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Shot it ball.
It sticks to you like glue, and you're like...